Well, hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker. We've had a little bit of a change. The entrepreneur that was going to be in the hot seat today couldn't make it. So I reached out to the amazing Pete, who has got the most amazing business. He's already global. He's doing fantastic stuff. We've been trying to get him on the show for ages. And it's like, a slot's come up. Quick, Pete, let's get you on. So I am so delighted to bring you the amazing Pete Cohen on today's show. Pete, hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome. I won't tell you where I was when I got your message, but I will leave that to everyone's imagination. It was 25 minutes ago. So anyway, I'm just delighted to be here. So yes, amazed, Sammy. Thank you so much for the opportunity once again to spend time with you. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, I'm delighted that we managed to find a way. Obviously, the universe opened up and said, hey, Pete is supposed to be on the show today. He's the one that's supposed to be in the hot seat.
I am. It is a hot seat. I know you're on a boat, and I know what it's like to be on a boat and it to be hot because I used to live on a boat. And now in my house now, I am dripping.
I know. It's just gorgeous, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing. And so are you.
It is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And each and every one of you that are joining us now, share this on your timeline. Go do a watch party or something. Pete's actually in the middle of filming. He's got a live camera audience as such who are filming him, filming us, doing this with you. So how crazy is that? It's awesome. I'd love to see the pictures of that afterwards, Pete.
You will.
And join.
There I am.
Gosha, hello, Gosha. Gosha, would you please put the word out? Let everybody come and see Pete today. Yes, always ready and happy. He absolutely is. And thank goodness for that. You know, one of the misconceptions about change makers is they're so busy changing the world. Yes, we are, but we do things that set other ways of supporting our clients up so that we don't have to be there physically all the time. That's how Pete and myself are able to jump on shows. That's how we're able to be here for you, is because we set things up that enable us to be with multiple people at multiple times. Pete, you've got your My 365 shirt, you've got your My 365 mug, everything is completely branded. Tell us, before we dive into your confessions, what does branding mean to you?
Well, it's always something that I have been aware of, and it's always something that I've looked to other people to give me the answers and tell me what to do. And it's only since I've been working with you that you have put me in a position where I've really got to look at my brand differently and take ownership of it, because it's nothing that anyone can really do for you. I mean, you could employ a brand agency and pay them an absolute fortune and, you know, never really get anywhere unless you take responsibility for you and your brand. I think you're going to be continuously going around in circles. So to say that ever since I've actually been working with you in the Brand Builders Club has been a roller coaster, actually, because it really made me force myself to really look at what I was doing, how I was doing it, the messaging. But actually the last few weeks, as I think you know, I've just pivoted again, because I realized there's an opportunity that exists in the world today because of the global crisis and the many issues associated with that, specifically around obesity and being overweight, which I know that you know that's an area that I'm extremely well known for. I just figured, you know what, I need to take advantage of that because I actually genuinely want to help people.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that if you can, you must. And you've done so many things. I mean, Pete, so here's one of the things for those of you that are watching, and I really hope that if you've watched or seen anything about the law of brand attraction, this lovely book here. Pete, have you got your copy yet?
No, I've ordered it, but it hasn't come yet. So.
Oh, they feel so good.
Please stop it.
They feel so good. They're really, really good. If you have been under a rock and you haven't heard anything about the law of brand attraction, of which Pete is one of our amazing Brand Builders Club co-authors, you will find Pete's story in here, but also some brilliant information. He breaks down a whole system for you and even talks about poo. There you go. If you hadn't seen it, there's a...
Well, I was looking at it when you called me. Too much information.
Too much information. No, it's. I think that
there's nothing like a good food. Come on, let's be honest here. Come on, we don't talk about it, but it's important.
Nobody does talk about it, do they?
In Germany, they love talking about it. You know, it's like, hey, have you pooed today? Yeah. What was it like? It was amazing.
No way. Maybe it's the British way that we don't talk about those things. Hi, Amanda. Amanda, it's lovely to Lisa King, loving reading the book. Brilliant. You know, that there's so many great things in the book. All the authors in there are amazing. And we have some authors on the show right now. Pete, you've done so many things, but one of the things I want to touch on most, and the reason why I wanted to get the book out as such, is because something was said as a review within the first couple of days of people buying the book, and it really it touched me, because that was the essence of what this is really about. Hello. And that is that I didn't want this book to be just another bunch of experts being the expert that's above everybody else. I wanted this book to be about strategies from real life business owners who have overcome many hurdles to get where they are, who don't want you to have to take unnecessary steps to get there. This isn't about, you know, not learning mistakes. We all make mistakes, and we all learn from them. And there are some mistakes that we need to make. There are some things that we need to go through, but there are some things that we don't. And the real essence behind this was about real business owners bringing to you what is happening in their business that's really working for them. Not just in business, but in their health and wellness as well. And that was really Pete's place in the book. But what I really wanted to highlight most is that Pete is, as you said yourself, Pete, dyslexic. You've written 19 books. You've got a global program, several global programs. You were the life coach on GMTV, a UK, very famous UK day show, chat show. And, you know, and you went on to build your own show as well. So you're not new to this, but you've also come up against so many different obstacles, and you overcame them. Obviously, mindset is a big thing that's important to you. You are the Inspirator. What is it that keeps you going when you face tough challenges? Because I think even for the most positive people in the world, things happen, right? Shit happens. We were talking about that a while ago.
You know, thank you for everything you've said. I think ultimately what is driving me is, it's actually quite hard to articulate, but I just feel that there's still so much to do. And when people tell me about everything that you've done, you know, and I suppose it is a big deal, but to me, it's not really a big deal. And I don't mean that to belittle what I've done. It's just, I don't actually feel I've actually got started. And I was 50 in May. I just figure that there is more to do. And actually, when I spend time around people of my age group, people who I grew up with, it's interesting because we often talk about the old days. And then not long ago, we were on a Zoom call, kind of, you know, doing what a lot of people have been doing, reminiscing. And I started talking about, guys, what are you excited about? And it was like the room went, you know, quiet. The Zoom room went quiet because no one is really thinking about that. And I am. And I know the situation we're in is challenging, but I think it's going to get a lot more challenging. So I think that's what it is. I think that, and this is, again, where you've helped me. I've always been excited about doing things. I have to wake up every day and have something to do. And until I don't have that anymore, I will just continue to do. But my goal, again, and I really have to thank you for this, because my mission is, it's actually a vision, and that's to globally impact, to build a revolution of 10 million people who are liberated through not living life by chance, but by choice, you know, and a series of choices that means that you've designed something that one day you can look back and go, look at what I did. And I'm not at that point at the moment. You know, there is still so much I want to do. I think there's so much possibility, so much opportunity. And what I love about brand builders, I don't know whether you know this, is, you know, I've got quite close to a number of those people. In fact, last week, Lubna and Gail and myself, we did a podcast, and it was really quite surreal because you've got a Muslim, you've got a black person, and you've got a Jew, right? And we're on their podcast talking about that, you know, that we all love sushi. And I thought, isn't this amazing that we've got these people from all different backgrounds, and there are some parts of the world where people are saying, you know, that shouldn't happen, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, no, we can do what we want. We can talk about what we want, and we can help each other. And I've realized that what I want to do, I can't do it on my own. I need help, I need support, I need to reinvent myself. And together, there, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but together, when we come together, there's nothing that we can't do.
Yeah.
And when we hear other people's stories, I hope that people read the story in Brand Builder, in the book, sorry, and everyone else's stories and think, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. I mean, I know so many people who follow me who have read that book and they said they couldn't put it down. They couldn't put it down. They read it from cover to cover because they felt the energy of the person who has been on either a journey that is similar to them, or it's a journey that, you know, they want to go on.
It's been quite astounding. I mean, we had over 3,000 sales in less than 24 hours before the book was even published. It just literally, it went wild for all the right reasons. And of course, you know, being number one for us was important, but not so that we, you know, it's nice to say you've got an international number one Amazon bestseller, but actually what number one means is more visibility. If more visibility sells more books, that means more kids get support, because 100% of the profits from this book go to the Clear Sky Children's Charity. And actually, I'm looking forward to interviewing on this show one of the chairmen and chairpeople of the charity. So do watch out for that. We're going to dig into what they do, the great work that they do. But here we're looking at your great work, Pete. In your chapter of the book, you say, a great life doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design, and you have the power to change. And this is something that you talk about a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people know my story. So I've always been into health and well-being. You know, I was a personal trainer originally, then I studied nutrition, then I studied psychology. And yes, I was on television. I've had many international best-selling books, but it was only when my wife was diagnosed with a brain tumor, given 18 months to live, that was probably the biggest test so far of my life. My training ground has always been from my parents. My dad always said, son, it's not what you know, it's who you know. My mum has always said there's an answer to everything. So with that, I know a lot of people, and I always will find solutions. So I had to stop all the work I was doing. We went to America where my wife was treated. And when we were in America, we went to see a nutritionist. And then he's a functional medicine doctor, a guy called Dr. Rakowski, and he looked at Hannah's urine, her blood, her saliva, and then he sat down, and I'll never forget this. He turned to Hannah and to me, and he said, hey, how does a whirlwind start? And I went, excuse me? He goes, how does a whirlwind start? I said, I don't know. I don't have geography. I don't know. He said, how does a tornado start? I go, listen, I don't know. You're going down the wrong road here. And he goes, the conditions have to be right. How does cancer start? The conditions have to be right.
Oh.
How do you change the conditions? And on the wall was a big poster that said the Magnificent Seven for health. And it said eat right, drink right, think right, talk right, poo or poop, as they say in America, sleep and move, these seven. And little did I know that those seven imprinted something in my mind. My wife has made a miraculous recovery. She's, I don't know what now, 8 years cancer-free. But that whole Magnificent Seven was something that we turned into a very simple system that someone could look at every single day as a sphere and start to look at, you know, I'm not sleeping very well, so maybe there's an area of my life that I need to address. I think most people know about the power of thought and how that affects us. So we were able to create, you know, a system that basically would allow people to change the environment in their body, because look, health is everything, right? And I'm really pleased to see, Sammy, I know you've been out there exercising, and, you know, I know, you know, some of the challenges that, you know, you've had. No one is perfect. No one is perfect here. No one is perfect. Everyone needs help. Everyone's got problems. But when we come together, you know, we can really help each other. And, you know, I really hope that when people read this book, they realize that if you're in business, the business should be the business you need to be in is in the business of your health and your well-being. Because if you want to be the best you can be in business, you better make sure you've got the energy to do it. Because now we have to probably work a little bit harder or a little bit smarter, and we've got to work longer in terms of, but if you love what you do, that's never really going to be an issue. You probably want to be able to do it for a very long period of time. So I think we ignore our health to a great extent. It's too easy. In fact, today I was working with some people, and he said the problem with delayed gratification is that you don't need it. You know, you don't need delayed gratification anymore because everything you want, you can have. So, but we do need delayed gratification. Otherwise, we're going to die before our time. And, you know, I want to keep the candle burning for a long time. And I want to help other people to keep their candle burning, to keep their brand alive.
I mean, that's so important. You know, if you're a change maker, give us a hashtag change maker in the comments right now. Just so you know, we are going live via 5 channels. So if I don't see or respond to it straight away, or if I don't call your name out, it's because I'm not seeing your comments. But if you go to my Sammy Blundell official page, like it, subscribe to it, you will be able to then, when you comment, we'll be able to see all of those live on the show as well. Pete, I want to come to your chapter on page 65. Okay, so your chapter starts on page 65 of the book, and I love how you start this, because I think this is a global way of thinking. And so that you know, it's almost like, you know, weight loss, health, wellness, you know, trying to avoid cancer, diabetes, knowing that if you're overweight you're at risk. You know, we've known all these things for a long time. But I think what you've really captured in the book for entrepreneurs that are change makers, that want to change something, they don't just want to, you know, get up, exist, go to work, come home, eat, sleep, repeat. They actually want to go and do something and leave an imprint on the world, like One Drop. And, you know, you can't do that if you're not well. And if you're not well, how can you really serve in the way that you were born to serve and for the length of time that you're meant to serve? So I love how you start your chapter where you say, you were recently doing some work with a group of people who are taking part in your coaching community. We were talking, and one of them said, every time we want to do something that's about our growth, we don't really want to do it because there's a part of us that just doesn't want to grow.
Yeah.
And now you went on to say you were quite shocked because, you know, he was a functional medicine doctor that said that. And you thought about this for a while. Tell us what went through your head when you heard that.
I was just really shocked. And it still shocks me to this day that I think the root of all suffering, pretty much in the Western world, if you've got, you know, food on your table, this is what Maslow spoke about, Abraham Maslow, you know, the hierarchy of needs. And, you know, the basic needs that we all have are food and shelter, and then the sense of belonging, being a part of something. And then at the top is this, what people call the self-actualizer, you know, someone who is actualizing some of the potential that they have. And then there's another level where you transcend that by giving back to others. And that's a need. That's a need, like food and shelter. It's a need. And if you're denying yourself that need, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have worries, doubts. You're going to have that anyway, because that's part of being a human being. But you're going to have this frustration inside, deep down inside, that you just know that you're not being who you're capable of being. And I think many people have heard of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was he was the mentor to Tony Robbins. And he said so many wonderful things, two, actually, that I really want to just mention. One is the setting of the sail. The same winds blow us all, right? They blow everyone. The winds of Corona, the winds of everything, but it's the setting of the sail. Where are you setting your sail? And this is the thing, I love what he said, is the problem between human beings and everything in nature. Nature relies on instinct, and nature relies on nature. Human beings, yeah, we do rely on that, but we have the dignity of choice. You know, trees don't just choose to grow halfway and say, right, I'm not growing anymore, I'm done. No, they grow until they die, and that's what we have to do. That's what we're born to do. The Greeks knew this. That's why they said we are teleological. We need those things that are in front of us. So I think, Sammy, I love to help people realize what they're capable of. And I'm seeing this more and more, that when someone has an idea, and I know you're all over this, you're amazing at this, actually. If someone has an idea, there's something in your brain that starts going, putting it all together.
Code to me.
In your sleep, you'll probably go, I'm like the same. When someone tells me their idea, I go, wow, that's amazing, because I can see it. I can see what they're saying. And then I see that that's possible. And you know what, like Wayne Dyer said, that every idea exists twice. Once in there and then once out there. And if you don't have something out there that is better than what you have right now, you're not going to go very far.
Yeah.
And, you know, Napoleon Hill, and thank you, because we overtook, for me, the greatest book that's ever been written.
We did.
Where is it? Hang on, don't go anywhere.
It was pretty crazy.
It's down there, I think. So yeah, Think and Grow Rich. For me, the only thing that was missing in that book, that's it. The only thing that was missing in this book was interviews with women. That's why the book that we did, there was only 2 men.
Yeah.
Because women are the real game changers. I know I might be saying that, and there might be more women watching this, but that's another story.
You got Bob Doyle as well.
This book was based on 500 interviews of successful people, and I think pretty much all of those people, were men. But Napoleon Hill said 2 things which I love. He said, the first thing that separates people is a burning desire. What do you have a burning desire to do? And the second thing he said is, well, this wasn't the second thing, but he said the mastermind alliance, we all need that. And what he said is the era of the go-getter has gone. He said this in 1937. It's not the go-getter, it's the go-giver. How can I help? How can I serve? So in that book, I was just trying to help people realize you need to grow. You need to find what it is that you feel compelled to do. What is it that you would pay for the privilege of doing? I would pay for the privilege of doing this, right? I would pay to do this rather than paying to watch something on Netflix. And it's our goal, I think, to help people connect to the thing that they have a passion to do, to create, to evolve, and to do it to the best of their ability. So,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about this stuff, Sammy.
I'm glad that you are, because I am too. Pete, I'm going to come to page 66 of the Law of Brand Attraction book now, where you say most people are living in a world where everything they do is based on how they feel. And if they don't feel like doing something, they will stay put and settle. This is one of my favorite parts of the book. However, even though we settle and it might feel nice, there is a part of us that still wants more. Basically, human beings are made to grow, evolve, and hit targets we set. We are what the Greeks called teleological, as you just said. We need to achieve to be fulfilled. And you go on to talk about a time when you were in the settle zone, which is where many people are now. Take us through your settle zone.
I can't remember the last time I was in a settle zone. But,
I know. I think we both live in the oh-fuck zone, because that's where all the opportunities. Who's in the oh-fuck zone watching this right now?
I actually think what happened is I was in a zone that I was not wasn't aligned to where I was going. And that's only when I started working with you. To be honest, when we had a few conversations, I got involved with some of the content, and it just made me, I did the sprint week with Gail, and it just made me go, hang on, you're messing about with this stuff. Go big or go home. And that's what you said to me. You got to go bigger. You got to think bigger. Yeah. Because, now I'm about to embark upon, again, something, probably the biggest project I've ever done in my life. And it was because someone said to me recently, I didn't realize this. So, if you've been working in a particular field, sometimes you can forget how big a problem it is. So when we talk about obesity, obviously recently that's massively come to the fore again because of the coronavirus and Boris being told that if he hadn't been overweight, he wouldn't have had the severity of the illness. That there are so many conditions that are related to obesity. I've just thought, you know what? And then someone said to me, he said to me, you don't understand. This is not a disease. This is a chronic disease. This is the biggest problem that the world faces right now. And I want to help people. I want to help people. You can't help everybody, but you can definitely help a lot of people by looking at things differently. And again, that's the key part of this book, right? That you have given us the platform to give the reader a different way of looking at things. Because ultimately, Sammy, that is when we really change. When we go, oh, I never thought of it like that before. And wow, maybe I could do that. And stories change lives, right? But your story is amazing. My story is amazing. But has your story finished yet?
Right.
No. Where's your story going, Sammy?
Oh, well, I don't have small visions. I live in the oh-fuck zone. I can't remember my comfort zone either.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that's evolving and shifting. And as a creative, like, you know, my whole thing is freedom. You know, I live my entire life by freedom. And when I wasn't living by freedom, that's when I felt constricted and things weren't growing. So, you know, maybe those of you that are on the call right now and watching the replay, I'd love to know what your number one personal core value is, because we talk about business values in Brand Builders Club all the time. But what's your number one personal core value? Because if your business isn't giving you that value, mine is freedom. If your business isn't giving you that, then you won't be happy, and your health will suffer as a result, as mine did. Pete, I want to come back to something else that you said that I love in your chapter as well, where you say the reason we struggle is that we are fighting a battle in ourselves, the battle to achieve versus the choice to stay where we feel nice and comfortable. As soon as we get comfortable, we develop a horrible disease that you call excuse-itis. This is inflammation of the excuse-making gland, where we say things such as, I just don't feel like it, or I don't feel like doing it today. I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes, and guess what? You have an even greater dose of excuse-itis. The time has come for us to go from being a settler to being a hunter-gatherer again, regardless of how we feel. Now, you talk about how, in the book, about how we settle and how we can go back to being that hunter-gatherer, because let's face it, that's who we really are. So take us to that zone there, because it's almost like we're going back to the future, isn't it? We've got to go back to where we came from to be able to create the future that means that we can live a life by design.
There's so much that you said there. I suppose the main thing about the hunter-gatherer thing, and obviously I'm not trying to offend any vegetarians or vegans, because I'm not saying you have to go out and hunt an animal, but we are hunter-gatherers. We're not settlers. We are not designed to settle, and settling is killing us physically. You know, it's definitely killing us physically because we're not moving enough. It was reported, I think, 2 days ago in the Times that the average person has put on 7 pounds in weight during lockdown, 7 pounds and more, because they haven't been moving very much, and many people have been eating for comfort. We're not designed to settle. We are designed to hunt and go out and make things happen. And again, if we don't do that, if we're not going out to make something, build something, create something, you know, if you want to see a happy person, go around to their house, and I bet you they've got a project on the go. You'll find a project. They'll be making something somewhere, right? If you find an entrepreneur or someone like us, we've got quests. We've got epic quests that we are going after, that we're hunting to make it happen. And we know that as we go out on the hunt, we're not always going to get what we want. We're going to go out there and take risks, and it's not always going to work out the way that we want to. But God, it sounds like a cliche, doesn't it? But if you just keep going, you will achieve. And there have been times, even with the reinvention piece. You know, I was extremely famous at one point. I would go down the road and people would recognize me because I was on television 2 or 3 times a week. Fast forward a few years, no one knows no one really knew who I am. Some people still do. I always think, well, it must be horrible to be famous, right? That one day everyone loves you and then the next day no one cares, that you like tossed aside.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of reinvent myself, which I've been doing over the last few years to gain the attention of people again, because there's so many people making so much noise. And when you said about value, the most important value to you is freedom. The most important value to me is fairness. The most important value is adding value. So I'm going out and hunting and gathering. This doesn't make any sense. Giving value. How can I help you? How can I serve you? What can I do for you? And I love asking people that question because it completely stumps them. I go, hey, how are you? Is there anything I can do for you? And I know you do this as well. People go, what? What are you trying to sell me? Nothing. I don't want to. No. What can I do for you? Do you need help? You know, and that's how we're going to change this world, right?
Yeah, definitely. By being the drop for each other. Now, Pete, you are literally a living, breathing, eating, sleeping, walking, talking advocate of your own brand, and which is so refreshing because, you know, I see a lot of entrepreneurs who talk a really good talk and they've got a nice logo and they've got a great website, but there's like a spirit missing or something's missing from their eyes almost. There's something missing from the brand, but with you, that is definitely the opposite. I mean, you say on page 67 of the Law of Brand Attraction, you say all that matters is what you think about you and your brand. Personally, I love everything about my brand. My 365 stands for everything I represent. The My is all about everyone's individual life. It stands for doing a 360 in your life and working on developing yourself for 365 days. My vision is to build a global revolution of 10 million people who have gone from living a life of chance to an extraordinary life by design. I am my brand and I live and breathe it. I'm obsessed with it, and everything I do is about building it. At the heart of it is coaching people to be what they can be, so they close the gap between who they are being and who they are capable of being with their health and energy, their relationships, and their wealth, work, and service. All of these need attention and design, but without doubt, health and energy comes first, especially if you want to build something powerful, profitable, and magnificent. What a brilliant piece of writing that was. Now, Pete, you've achieved so much, right? You've gone on and you've done so many things. You've overcome a lot of things. I mean, this is the Confessions of a Global Changemaker, of course. So, and I threw this show on you today. So this is literally going to come from your heart. What confession would you bring to today's show, to today's audience, to today's watchers and listeners, about something that you've been through in your business that you would do again very differently if you had the chance to do it again?
Wow. It's not very often that I'm stumped. Give me a second. The first thing that comes to mind is I'd have more faith. I would dream bigger. I would dream bigger and trust the universe a little bit more, because you can push, but you can push too much sometimes. I think you almost stop the flow. You're just driving. And I've been like that a lot. I think that has a lot to do with fear, fear that it won't work. So I think I would trust the process a little bit more, and I'd probably ask for more help. I never liked asking for help. I used to think I had to do this all on my own, but I realize now that there's people here like, Louis, who's filming me on the camera here, who's working with me now for a year. It's a slight aside, but it's help more, but allow yourself to be helped more. Mm-hmm. So it would definitely start off with, look, dream big, right? Dream even bigger. Then, don't think small, because you'll it sounds like a cliche, you'll act small. Even though you might be looking like you're acting big, you're still acting small because you're not thinking big.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. And things go on in your life and business that can hold you there. But unless you've got someone like yourself who's literally holding you to account and saying, hey, I know you say this, but what you're really doing is this. Like, how can we get you to that next place? Yeah. And that between you and I, we've got a lot of brand builders who are really going for it now, and they're so inspired. Well, you are the Inspirator, so they're so inspired by you.
Again, you have really helped me, and I'm now working very closely with one of the brand builders, and again, that's thanks to you, because there's lots of things that we can't. Well, we can try and do everything, but sometimes there are just things that require so much skill and dedication and experience that sometimes you've got to choose carefully. That's the other thing I'd say. Yep. Choose carefully the people that you work with, because boy, have I made so many mistakes and paid an absolute fortune out to people to do Facebook ads and do all of this, and and it's like, no, choose carefully.
Yeah. How many of you listen to that last sentence and go, yep? How many of you have had that issue? I know I have, for sure. And Pete, we've had many conversations about it, but, that's why within the Brand Builders Club, one of the things that I really felt that I would have needed when I was going through the stage that other brand builders are going through now was I felt like, I've only ever had one coach at a time. And actually, like, that's one kind of filter of the world. And I felt like if I'm going to build Brand Builders Club, I want to bring every element of business growth to each and every brand builder. So no matter where they are on their journey, they've got a mentor who's done that thing or is doing that thing and can take them to that next level. So I was delighted that you were going to that next level, and you're now working with Tom Mooster. You've got several brand builders you're working with, and we've got quite a few members that are now going on to your My 365 program, which is just so brilliant. Guys and girls, I cannot recommend it enough. I got your journal through. I've been working through your journal, which is amazing.
Thank you.
There's always a place that you can start with, Pete. And I love how generous you are. You've got all different ways that somebody could start that journey to improving their health or their mindset around their health. I mean, you can have a really crazy, seriously healthy person, but maybe, there could be some stuff going on in their mindset that actually causes other things to go on, like what you put in your mouth and, how you do your exercise and your activity. That's only a small part even still of health that, I mean, a lot of people say that, and I don't know how true this is. This isn't something that's of my background or my expertise. Maybe, Pete, you know more about this because you've been through it. But, I do believe in our thoughts are things. And I think that you can think something into being. You could be the healthiest person ever, but if your mind isn't healthy and your mindset is a little bit off track, we can cause disease in our body. I don't, what do you guys and girls watching this or listening to this now, what do you think about that? From your perspective, Pete, you've actually learned that lesson, haven't you? What do you feel about that?
Well, often people who want to help people have got some major issues themselves. That's from my experience, and I've definitely put up my hand. I wanted to help people because I felt so bad about myself. So I thought if I could help people, maybe they'd like me, and then maybe I'd like myself. So I've spent many years of my life fighting a battle that I was never going to win. But I was lucky to have a coach for 16 years of my life who helped me in many areas, helped me sell a business for a lot of money. He basically saved Hannah's life, my wife, because he was the one who said, what is she going to do when she gets better? And he said, find people that are still alive in the world today. But ultimately, we all have this fight, going on inside our head. One part of us that wants us to stay where we are, and another part of us that wants us to grow. And that's why we love to watch films, because in films, we always love to see good overcoming evil, but the good and the evil lives in all of us. I watched Rocky Creed 2, which is exactly the same as Creed 1, which is the same as Rocky Balboa, which is the same as Rocky 5, Rocky 4, Rocky 3, Rocky 2, Rocky 1. It's the same story. Someone is called to an adventure. They don't want to go. They get a coach. They get a mentor. They find something in themselves they didn't know that was there. They almost get beaten. They come back stronger. They then take on the thing. It almost destroys them. They go stronger. They go training. They get back. They conquer. They win. They pass it on. And that's the story of our lives, and I love to help people win that battle, because if you don't win that battle, or you don't make sense of it, or you're not able to step back from it and see what's going on, that is going to mess you up. And we're not alone in that. Every day, shall I get out of bed? No, stay here. No, get out of bed. No, stay here. No, get out of bed. No, stay here. No, get out of, okay. And eventually, we waste so much time. But it's so much easier, Sammy, when you've got something in front of you that you think, I need to do this. I'm compelled to do this. So I haven't got time, which I know you haven't. It's like, I don't have time to put myself off from doing this. I've got to do it. I'll talk to myself after I've done it.
Somebody said to me, like, why do you do these sprints in Brand Builders Club every morning? And it's like, well, I'm solving a problem. If one Brand Builders Club member says to me, Sammy, how do I do this? And I think that someone else might benefit from it, I'll get an expert in and I'll get them to train everybody on how do you overcome that? How do you get through it? There might only be 4 brand builders in the whole of the world that need to know that thing, but it helps them. And not everybody just, don't have to take part in them. But what it actually does is it also gets me out of bed in the morning. I know I've got to be up. I've got to have the dogs walked. I've got to be sat my bum in this chair, ready to go live at 8 a.m. every single morning to support our brand builders in going further faster. If I didn't have that, actually, I'm not quite sure. Or I'd probably find something else that would focus me. But, it's I live with somebody who's pretty much retired and doesn't have to get up. It can be quite, those damp winter mornings when you look over at your other half and you've got to get up and they're still all snuggled in bed. But now I don't even think about that. It's like you say, having that strong vision. Got no time. Literally, alarm goes off, up, out. I got shit to do.
And I think that's a reason why people need help. People need help often to find that, discover that, tap into that, and then to actually develop the habits, the routines, the processes that need to become non-negotiables. Yeah. Because I don't think success is sexy. I think it can be amazing. The sublime things that we can all achieve have come from a whole load of mundane things that we've done every single day when people weren't looking. I know that when you're not on front of the camera, you're deep into something, you're building, you're working, and that I think will be our greatest success, that we'll look back. I've got a picture of Bruce Lee on my wall here. He's obviously not here anymore, but he actually closed down all of his schools because he was just frustrated that everyone wanted to learn new things. And he was like, look, you don't need to learn new things. You just need to do the basics. Get the basics done.
Yeah.
And it was the basic people who did the basics day in, day out, day in, day out. They were the ones that over time built massive success. And you've got to be prepared to do that work because if you're not, someone else will be.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to be 100 steps ahead, but they want to cut corners, you'll go around in circles.
Yeah, I mean, the other day someone was telling me about podcasts, and I was talking to them, and I said, well, they said, oh, it's not successful yet. I said, how many episodes have you done? And he said, I've done 15, whereas I've done 300. And I wasn't saying that to show off to him. I say, how far are you prepared to actually go? How far are you prepared? And I had a wonderful comment today. I had a phone call with someone today who booked in a call. And she goes, I can't believe I'm speaking to you. And I said, oh, how did you come about me? And she said, oh, I've been listening to your podcast. She said, the strange thing about your podcast is I actually feel like you're talking to me. Yeah. And I went, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm talking to you. That's who I'm talking to. Nobody else.
Yeah.
You. And I know that's what you do. Is I'm talking, whether you do what you want with this, but I'm still talking to you. I believe in you.
Poke. You. Yes, you. Pete, you say on page 68 of the Law of Brand Attraction, there is no magic bullet to health, energy, and wellness. But I promise you that your brand is calling you to have an abundance of energy. It was Abraham Maslow who said, what man can be, he must be. Your brand must be full of energy if you're going to build it and take it to where it's capable of being. Think about your audience and customers and how you want them to feel about you and your brand. Do you not want them to be energized by you? And the only way to have energy is to work on the Magnificent Seven, which you will find in the book. Yeah. You say it's an inside job and no one else can do it for you, but there is help at hand. Pete, tell us a little bit about that as we start to come to the end of the interview. Like, what help is there at hand? What are you doing right now? What have you got going on that we can all take part in, join up to? Like, what's happening?
Well, I'm kind of contradict what some people would say, because there's definitely two things I would suggest, right? So I have put something together that I would really encourage people to watch. It's a new masterclass. It's absolutely free. If you go to coaching.petecohen.com, coaching.petecohen.com, it's a 30-minute class, and I'm really helping people decide where they are and where they want to go and what are the steps that are needed to close that gap. At the end of that, every single person is entitled to get on a call, a strategy call, 30 minutes. I'm happy to really look at the specifics of where you are and where you're going. And it's an incredible opportunity. I've really decided to up my game in terms of just giving value to people. If that goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't and someone takes something away, that's good enough for me. The other thing that you'll see in the next couple of weeks, we're doing a video diary at the moment around this massive campaign to change the weight of the nation and try and have an impact around the whole obesity and overweight crisis. If anyone is interested, whether they're a health and fitness professional, whether they're someone that's overweight, just get in contact with me, because we're launching a free resource with some masterclasses, absolutely free, just to help people start changing what they're doing in between the spaces, in between their ears. I'm asking everyone to help me to spread the word. So we're working on a few things behind the scenes. If anyone is interested in doing something about this chronic disease that we find ourselves in right now in the world, then let me help you or help others. That's it, really. And I want to thank you, Sammy, from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to do this. And also, when you said to me about writing a chapter in the book, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, not realizing what I was putting myself in for, but I was really pleased I let myself in for it. And please, if you haven't bought the book, buy the book. You'll hear some great stories, not just from my there's so many amazing stories in there, and stories really do change people's lives. If you want to create a great story, if you believe that your future is unwritten, which it is, you have the power to change. The best way to get that power, I believe, is read other people's stories, because success doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design, and you can do it. I believe in you.
You can. You absolutely can. And now, Pete, I'm just going to put up the thing here, because you can read.
Thank you.
You can read Pete's chapter in the Law of Brand Attraction book. Go to the lawofbrandattraction.com now. Buy the book for yourself and buy it for another business owner that you know that would really, really benefit from support in growing. What I love about the concept behind this book is that you can go to Pete's chapter in the book and you can find all of the contact details are on every single chapter. So whether you've got the Kindle version, whether you've bought the physical book, you can get Pete's details or find him on Facebook. Go and Google Pete Cohen, or as what I just put on the screen there, coaching.petecohen.com, and you'll go straight through to Pete. Get in contact with him. Put him in touch with people who, if you got a network and you know health professionals, any of the people that Pete just mentioned, if you know people who have podcasts, who have audiences of people, radio shows, TV, if you know anybody in the health and wellness industry, or anybody that's got a following where their ideal customers are people who could be doing something much bigger and more inspirational in their life, please contact Pete. And let's get your message out to the world, Pete.
Thank you so much, Sammy. You're amazing. I'm one of your biggest fans. I think in your fan club, I'm 004.
And we've known each other such a long time, but we just came into contact again recently, and it was just like this explosion. It was like we were both ready to be in each other's lives at that point. Lisa says, I had several illnesses that came from beliefs from childhood trauma, all now gone, and any triggers I recognize and can now stop any progress. It's stunning. Lisa would like to be in contact with you, Pete.
Yeah, so please do.
Brand Builders Club, you can reach out to each other. You can find each other in there. Amanda says, I'd like to know about what you're doing, Pete, as I'm also tackling obesity. So that's brilliant. In fact, Amanda, before COVID, I'm sure, these things will start to happen again. But Amanda was regularly in the Houses of Parliament campaigning against childhood obesity.
Yeah.
So you two definitely need to connect.
Yeah, I definitely want to connect with her. So definitely, I know her. She's awesome. She's got as much energy as I have, maybe even more.
Absolutely. Well, Pete, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so glad that, all the universe lined up for you to be on today's show. Guys and girls, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll look forward to watching Pete on his next step. Pete, we're watching you closely, my friend. We're waiting for the world to find out about Pete Cohen and this amazing movement you're building. Go to that link. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. Pete, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for making time for us. We'll look forward to watching your journey as you grow. Take care, guys.